Reptile by 9 Inch Nails on 89.1 FM KPVL. We've got Mike from W.O.R.M on the line. I'll turn the phone back on. So we were just talking over the break about shows and how things have been. You mentioned your new record deal. You're now with Electroland, which is Praga Khan's kind of brainchild, I guess.
Yeah, it's his experiment, I guess, off of Sonic Angel Records, which is out of Belgium, and they just started here in the States. And there was Synergy 67 actually is one of the other bands that got picked up right before us, and they've been doing really, really well with it. But yeah, it's kind of interesting concept. It put more of the power in the hands of the artists and the fans more than anything than the record labels, which is, I believe, a lot more powerful of a thing because it shows the fans that they have the choice of putting more bands on the map and pushing it instead of having some corporation manufacture a band in a factory someplace and put it out for the masses.
Right. So, yeah, that definitely sounds like a great thing that they're trying to get started with the Electroland, the, donations. Like, you invest in us, and then once we make our goal, then you actually make money too. So it's a really unique idea, and, I mean, it's a win-win all around, really. And I think you said that it's a little slow going, but I think that it's a really good concept. And once people learn more about it and hear more of it, like you mentioned Synergy and you guys, and I know that there are a handful more bands that are on that Electroland deal.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that kind of thing with like Electroland, the Kickstarter, where you're investing in the band, hopefully we see more of that, and it'll, maybe it'll bring music out of the dark abyss that it's in right now.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's the whole music industry is kind of in an interesting place, and you see that a lot of artists can do almost anything that a record label would want to do for them. So I think this empowers the artists more, and it also empowers the big time with the fans because they're the ones who make everything happen. And I mean, it's like recently we've been playing some shows, and you show up and the sound doesn't have the club doesn't have the right sound systems for you and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really heartbreaking because you feel more upset for the fans because they're the ones who are coming out to support you, or they're there for the first time to hear it. And you don't want to give them a shoddy performance. You want to give them the best they possibly can because they're the ones who are going to make it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe that's where this stands now. I mean, I think he's got a great idea with it, and it's puts it more in the court of the artist. If you really want it, you'll go for it. If you're not willing to put the work in for it, well, it's just not going to pay off for you.
So you're on Electroland now. You were on Invisible/AIN. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the switch to Electroland?
Oh yeah, our first 6 albums that we had, The Beginning of the End, Land's End, American, Weapon Against Reality, Hostage, and then a couple remix albums. We signed with Martin on those through Invisible, and Martin's a great guy. I mean, I've known him for at least a decade now, and he helped us out with that by getting us up on iTunes, and I believe it was Rhapsody and a couple others, Amazon.com, and just put the music out for the people and everything. And it was kind of interesting because it was one of the old style record deals where it was, hey, we'll sign you for 7 albums. And the way I always joke around about it was me and Martin got a laugh because I started the record contract with the start of my signature, and by the end of my signature it was over because I already delivered him all the masters.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of started and over before it began. But yeah, they did a lot of help for us down there. We got to do some really good shows, opening for Bile and Pigface and Voodoo and Nocturne. So it was a lot of good work there, and I mean, that's like a really good second home to us in Chicago. They've always been more than helpful with us. Plus, it's always good to hear some of the old, Ministry and Killing Joke stories out of Martin.
Mm-hmm.
We worked through that for a while, and then when we were approached by Praga Khan, was strangely enough, I got the email from them on April Fool's Day. So I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
And I paid no attention until 2 days later. I got another email that said, "No, we're serious. Please contact us."
They probably looked at the day just like, oh, we should probably send him another email.
Yeah. And we went from there, and they were more than helpful with everything. And it was kind of nice because you sit down and you set out your own budget, and you basically look at it as realistically as you possibly can for what you need to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they explain the whole concept about it, it's kind of like, Kickstarter and those other types of programs where bands can put up what their profit margin is for what they need to pull off their job. And they said, hey, look, you put it out there for your fans, let them know about it, and rally the people. And it was a great concept because, like you said, it's a win-win. If they put in and, we don't pay off, well, then they get their money back. But if we do pay off, then there's dividends to pay out. So I believe it's great for everybody. And the album that we're pitching to them is this new one that we've been working on, and it's 20 songs long. So it's been a feat over the past 2 years working on this, and we've gotten a couple numerous musicians from the guys from Flat Adam I was telling you about, their old singer Nick. He's on a couple of the songs. And buddy of mine, Joe, from a band called Cold Silent Blue out from Franklin Park, he's on a couple of tracks. And Kenny Pillar from he's from Project 44 and about a billion other bands too. Another great drummer. And a lot of people just contributed in, which was kind of cool. It was kind of like a free-for-all in the studio to see what happened.
Right on. And AIN, I understand, is your branch off?
Yeah, actually I'm sitting in the remnants of the studio right now since everything has been packed up to go and do the road shows right now, so I'm surrounded by boxes and cables and wires at the moment. Yeah,
I know the feeling. That describes my basement perfectly. Just cables everywhere.
Broken equipment laying in the corner, there's KY jelly around here someplace. I think Malone left that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was that was where we started with our own thing to try and keep on we didn't want to get tied down to anybody, so we figured we'd do our own thing, and we promoted W.O.R.M through that, and then a couple blues bands, and a couple offshoot bands that we had done on the side, some side projects and stuff like that. And it was just kind of like a monkey ear for us to hide underneath while we went through everything else to try and worm our way through the system, not to quote a pun. And keeping it as guerrilla as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Approaching 8:40. Let's take another break here quick, and then we'll get back to more questions. Right here on 89.1 FM KPVL. Got to type into the mic. Operating two things at once. 89.1 FM KPVL, Postville and Decorah. Streaming online at 891theblend.org. The Blend from Northeast Iowa Community Radio. This is Killing Game by Skinny Puppy off of their 92 Last Rites.